to SME's AM Influencer Series, dedicated to the passionate professionals who volunteer with SME to connect the digital thread of additive manufacturing within traditional manufacturing. My name is Adam Penna, your host, leading customer engagement for our SME additive manufacturing community. Our guest this week is joining us from Fort Collins, Colorado. Terry Wohlers, president of Wohlers Associates since 1986. Wohlers Associates, Inc. offers an unparalleled window into additive manufacturing, AM, and 3D printing. The independent consulting firm provides technical and strategic advice on the new developments and trends in rapid product development, AM, and 3D printing. Terry has provided consulting assistance to more than 275 organizations in 27 countries, and in 2007, more than 1,000 industry professionals from around the world selected Wohlers as the #1 most influential person in rapid product development and additive manufacturing. Wohlers has authored nearly 435 books, articles, and technical papers. He has given 165 plus keynote presentations on 6 continents and in cities ranging from Melbourne to Beijing and Tokyo. In May 2004, Wohlers received an honorary doctoral degree from Central University of Technology, Free State. Is it
Bloemfontein, South Africa.
Bloemfontein, that's a good one, South Africa. Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa and Nobel Prize winner, received his honorary degree in 2002. In 2005, Wohlers became a fellow of the Society of Manufacturing Engineers, and less than 1% of the SME membership is granted to this distinction, making it one of the most prestigious honors presented by the Society. In 2016, Wohlers became an adjunct professor at RMIT University in Melbourne, Australia, and this year he is the RAPID 2021 keynote speaker. Terry, welcome.
Oh, thank you, Adam. It's great to be here, and I certainly didn't expect you to read all of that, but I appreciate it very much.
No, it's definitely a lot of great stuff, and it's a pleasure to be here with you and talking about manufacturing in general and how additive manufacturing plays into the whole manufacturing world. We got a lot to talk about, so thanks for being here.
Certainly, pleasure.
Good. Yeah. Now I know we kind of all start out somewhere, and you've had this wonderful experience not only in the industry but in manufacturing as a whole. But what was like your first experience with additive manufacturing?
Well, that goes back a few years. First experience was in 1987, and that's when 3D Systems announced stereolithography technology. I read about it in a little newsletter from a friend who at the time served informally as my mentor, Dr. Joel Orr. And there was a paragraph in there about stereolithography and how it could build these parts. Almost, it sounded magic-like, from 3D CAD solid modeling data. So I contacted the company. Back then, email was almost non-existent. So I called them, and they sent a full-scale distributor cap. So for some of you before electronic ignition on automobiles would recognize what this looks like. In fact, I have it here.
Oh, awesome.
They sent this to me, made in photopolymer, and they sent a VHS videotape as well as a brochure. And I read it, I looked at it, and I go, wow, this is absolutely mind-boggling. The fact that, once you have CAD data and you can export it or send it to this machine and build these parts, I mean, this could be very, very powerful, not only for product development, but someday for manufacturing. So that was in 1987. They commercialized the process in 1988. I was lucky enough to attend AutoFact. That was an SME trade show back then, a very popular one. I believe that one was either in Anaheim or in Detroit at Cobo Center. But in any case, that's where they showcased their stereolithography 1, or SLA 1 is what they called it, which was their full commercially available system. And so we got to see it up close and see more parts. And I was just totally locked onto it. That's when, we started the company just a year earlier, well, in 1986, really focused on CAD, CAM tools, methodologies, and just information about the subject, doing hands-on training and so forth. And this is when I began to gradually make a shift over from not in addition to CAD and product development, over to 3D printing, what we know now as 3D printing and additive manufacturing.
Yeah, that's a big stage right there. Obviously, a lot of things were happening or starting up at that point. I came along in the mid 90s with the CAD side of it, and that's how my my entrance to the world came in of the manufacturing side and working with CAD. So I had that same progression of starting out on the CAD side, but then quickly seeing what 3D printing was doing and being drawn to it rather quickly in my career. So there are a lot of great stuff that was happening back then. That's really cool to see. And it's awesome that you had the part there right in front of you, the same part from back in the day. So really neat stuff. Now, there's a whole lot that's happening since then. Obviously, we keep on evolving as we move forward. What would you say is the impact of AM to the broad manufacturing industry as a whole?
Well, I think if you step back and maybe from 30,000 feet or thousands of meters, it really is causing companies to look at manufacturing differently. And this is a good thing. Today, companies are applying new business models. They're introducing entirely new types of products. One example is footwear, where many popular shoe brands have introduced, some on a sort of preliminary test basis, new athletic shoes, Adidas being one. Fit My Foot is another, which was formerly referred to as a Weave. And I own two of their products. What's really cool about it is you take a sheet of paper, you put it on the floor up against the wall with your foot barefoot. You use your phone and it steps you through. This app steps you through how to measure your foot just by using the camera on the phone. And then you put in your height, your weight, and so forth. And then ultimately your credit card, and it sends you, in this case, either a pair of custom insoles or orthotics, or if you want sandals, you can in different colors, but they're custom as well. And so I have both, and I absolutely love them. And this is the kind of thing that is enabled by 3D printing. Eyewear, the same thing. Materialize, a company in Belgium, has this impressive setup where it's like you're walking up to a display case of eyewear with mirrors, and it looks very similar to if you go to an eye doctor where they sell eyewear, but they have cameras, and it measures your feet, your face, and then you can pick the frames, and it'll produce custom frames. And what is important about this is not only the look on you, but also to optimize the lenses, so that often if you see people and they're wearing glasses, their eyes are too high or low, or vice versa, the eyewear is too high or lower. So to get optimum optics, you want your eye right in the center of the eyeglasses.
Yes.
And so that's what it does in part is optimizes the location of the lenses to your eye. Football helmets from Riddell, some amazing work that's been done there. Bicycle saddles from Specialized. In fact, I have one on my mountain bike and I love it. And the list goes on and on. And all these special products would not be available without additive manufacturing.
Yeah, that's a personalization, customization, on demand, digital inventory, all these things that you kind of like threw in there that are part of the value of AM. Now, even with our smartphones, to be able to do all those things you're talking about, and then to get an actual product, that's so neat. I mean, that's really where it's going, the on-demand personalization. And like you're talking about, those apps are a big leap forward in that kind of personalization for us inside 3D printing. So really cool stuff. I know we've been working on a lot of different things as far as personalization goes across the industry. And there's a lot that manufacturers are getting into and understanding the benefits of additive manufacturing. So as far as any kind of manufacturer out there that's learning to implement or adopt AM, what would your advice be to them?
Well, that could be a long discussion. I'll try to be brief. And again, looking at it from a distance and what I've observed over the years, one is don't believe everything you hear and read. I tell you, it's alarming sometimes what people will share in writing or even in informal conversations in presentations. And, it's difficult to always get it right 100% of the time, but my recommendation is to validate those claims, especially if you're making important business decisions. If it's involving strategy, involving major purchases, validate those claims, because often, or at least part of the time, they are inaccurate, and it could really affect your thinking and how you guide the decision making. So that's one thing, is don't believe everything you hear and read. Attend top industry events, such as the RAPID plus TCT 2021, coming up. It's September 13, 14, and 15 in Chicago. So you have to have that on your calendar. You have to attend because it's by far the most important event with a big show in North America and one of the very top worldwide. People from all over the world attend it. It has an impressive collection of experts and exhibitors, and it's just a great place to network and get updated on what's happening in additive manufacturing. So if you've been in the industry for a long time, it's great to go there to get an update. If you're brand new to it, you can touch the parts, see the machines, ask questions, attend conference sessions, and meet people. And so I highly recommend that people attend that event, as well as others. There's other very good events. Last week, American Makes held its TRX at Ohio State University. We had a person there attending it, and so look at what's available, get recommendations on which events are the best, and then go to them because you can learn so much.
Yeah, that's a great advice. Obviously, with a lot of events out there to attend now, that's something we all love to do, is see people live in person and also see the technology and the networking and the conference tracks. It's always a good time and a lot of great information in one place. Now, talking about RAPID plus TCT, this is their 30th anniversary with SME's RAPID plus TCT. How has that been for you over the last 30 years?
Well, it's been, like I said, one of the most important events for me annually. It was, of course, a disappointment that we couldn't attend it last year for obvious reasons, but I've not missed one. I have been to every single one. Now, the first year, if you count 30, the first one was a clinic. I think it was a 2-day clinic, wasn't a bona fide conference and exposition as we know it today. So I missed it. I don't know what I was thinking. I must have had a conflict, but I missed it. But I attended every single, so this will be my 29th event. But in any case, I haven't missed any of the live events, and I'm looking, or at least the in-person events, and I'm looking forward to it very much. It has, like I said, it is so important to shake hands and go out for dinner, and the relationship building or maintaining relationships is so vital. You can do some of that with Zoom and other virtual environments, but it's not the same. So this will be my first in-person event, and so I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. It's an outstanding conference and exposition, and I'm very thrilled to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, this year you're a keynote speaker, so I'm really looking forward to that and seeing you there. That's going to be a great time this year. A lot to look forward to, obviously, with a big event like that. Now, SME has played a role in additive manufacturing, and you've been a big part of that. What do you see SME playing as far as a role in the additive manufacturing space going forward?
Well, see, I'd have to think back which year it was, but it was many, many years ago, and now measured in decades, when SME really became the home of the first major association on what we called back then rapid prototyping. We had formed an association, a group with key players from many places around the world, and we had met and we interviewed 3 different organizations, one being SME, because we felt like we needed an established organization to adopt us and for it to become our home and for us to grow this with another organization. And so after interviewing the 3, we did all of them in person back then. We selected, I mean, it was not even a contest. SME was a clear choice for the group. I think it was about a dozen of us that had formed this association. And so that then became the Rapid Prototyping Association of SME, which is now the Additive Manufacturing Community. It's evolved over the years, but so that was SME's first major, well, I shouldn't say first because the Rapid event was in place, I think only maybe a couple of years before then, but it has always played, or at least, in recent, the last couple of decades, played a vital role in the additive manufacturing space. And so, people would look to SME as providing, as a source of information, as a meeting place, as a convener of experts. And so, SME, I think, looking ahead, can play an even more important role in, bringing even more resources together and really being a source of information and data to the world. And so I'm looking forward to working with SME. I became a member back in the early 1980s when I was let's see, I guess I just finished graduate school and I was teaching at Colorado State University. And it was in I believe 83 when the local chapter here in Northern Colorado offered an event, an SME chapter event. More than 500 people attended.
Wow.
And yeah, it was not bad for
Yeah.
a chapter event. And we had world-class speakers as well. Nolan Bushnell was one who founded Atari, and he spoke, and others too. And so SME has played a very important role in additive manufacturing, of course, in manufacturing in general for more than 90, 100 years.
Wow, 90 years on SME and 30 years on RAPID plus TCT. So
yeah,
a lot of time in there.
It certainly has been, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, there's a lot of great things that are still to happen. Obviously, you brought up something in there that I'm interested to hear your perspective on. It's the AM community itself. You know, everything from makers to our manufacturers that are in production right now. What do you think describes, or how would you describe the AM community?
Well, that's a good question. It's many things to many people. It's number one, it's exciting. It's very vibrant. I see it as a bleeding edge, progressive. It's always looking into the future. It's the other extreme of dull. It's when you get up in the morning and you check your inbox and you go, wow, I didn't see that coming. That investment, that merger, that IPO, this startup, this new application. I mean, there's something new, if not daily, certainly weekly. In fact, we do weekly news for American Makes, and I know SME is very involved in that. And in fact, today on Tuesday is the day that we pull that together, and then it's published on each Wednesday. And that news is something that forces us to, for good reason, to really canvass the world to see what's going on. And it's just so interesting to see the breadth of applications and developments worldwide. So it's just, every day I just feel privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's a great point there. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot that happens inside of the applications. The more applications, I keep saying, the more standards we get, and the closer we get to the common manufacturing processes we're all looking to get into place. So it's one step at a time, one application at a time. You know, we'll build the community there.
That's right.
Part of the community is the younger generation that's coming up. You know, I know that, with your teaching background and everything that happens there, you have a lot of mentoring and basically helping the younger generation coming up into the manufacturing and additive manufacturing world. What would your advice be to attract the younger generation into our field?
Well, we can do a lot of things there. And it's probably an endless list of opportunities for organizations of all types and sizes to support and to help inspire the next generation. And I think it's vital too. We need new ideas. We have people like me who have been around for a while, and it's difficult to break out of that old thinking. We do our best to do that, but we have people who bring fresh thinking. And so one is to hire young, bright people, either as interns or regular employees. About a year ago, I hired a gentleman by the name of Noah Mosto, and he's a mechanical engineer, did a degree in advanced manufacturing at the Colorado School of Mines, which is a world-class university. He worked at 3D Systems Healthcare, which is really a vibrant part of the company in Littleton, Colorado, just outside of Denver. Before that, he worked at Burton Snowboard, and he brings a lot of good ideas. And it's that kind of, he's less than half my age, and it's good to have people like that around, because I can question him, he can question me. We keep each other honest. So it's great to get out and also speak to local middle schools and high schools. I'd like to do that once it's safe to do that again. I think we can learn a lot from the experience, but we have so much to share. And then after doing that, you can maybe get to know a student or two and have them come and maybe shadow you or work at your company for a while. At the very least, maybe open it up to tours for these students. Speaking of tours, years ago we had a program at SME called the Bright Minds Mentoring Program, Bright Minds Mentor Program. And I was lucky enough to be a part of launching that at SME. This was a long time ago. I'm going to say maybe 15 years ago, give or take. And it was all about bringing in a local high school. So if the event was in Cincinnati or Orlando or wherever RAPID was held, RAPID TCT was held, we would contact local high schools and see if they would be interested in bringing a group. Typically, a group would be, be a STEM related or technical, maybe people who are wanting to get into engineering. It could be CAD related because CAD is a complement to, in most cases, a prerequisite to using additive manufacturing. So we'd have a group of as many as 25 to even more than 100, and they would be paired up with volunteers, people like you and me who know something about CAD and solid modeling, but in this case, particularly engineering and additive manufacturing. And we would spend a day or the better part of a day with them at the show floor and also in conference sessions. But I really like spending the time on the show floor because they can see the machines, hold the parts, ask questions, and really learn a lot. And I'd like to see SME bring that program back because I think it's worth its weight in gold. I really do. So I know that SME has some new leadership with Bob Willig as CEO and executive director of SME. So I plan to talk with Bob to see if that's something that we can consider. Not this year, we don't have enough time to plan, but maybe next year, see if we can bring that program back because I think it's really a great program, and we did it for many, many years, and then it disappeared. I'm not sure what happened to it, but it went away.
No, that's a great program. I love to see that resurface also. And I know every year at RAPID plus TCT, I've been part of just spontaneously giving tours to younger students who come up and visit booths. And I know a lot of companies do that. And at least I've seen a few, at least, touring all of the different booths and things like that. So it's always good to, I've actually just done it myself, is to take groups around to each one of the actual booths and talk about things. And I just love doing that. It makes me learn, and also I see their faces asking questions, and it's just such a great place to keep seeing new technology and get that synergy going of open dialogue. It's a great place to do that. But yeah, that's some good insight there, and thanks for pushing that forward. Now we're talking about pushing things forward. Obviously, there's an evolution of additive manufacturing going on, and we've seen that a lot over even the pandemic with some of the response to the supply chain out there and everything that's happening to push things forward. But how do you see AM evolving in the next few years going forward?
Well, first off, it's a very exciting future. Where it's moving in many directions on many levels, from startup companies to some of the biggest corporations in the world adopting it for production volumes. We're seeing installations that many machines, tens of machines, support manufacturing. We're talking about serious manufacturing of orthopedic implants, parts that go onto aircraft, consumer products such as the eyewear and footwear that I mentioned, and everything in between. The automotive industry is now getting more serious about adopting it. And it was an early adopter for design validation, prototyping, and some forms of tooling. But for manufacturing volumes, when you're building something in such high volume, it's hard to justify the cost and time of using additive manufacturing for series production. So, and also the maker community, some of the engineering students and people that are buying these low-cost machines and using them either at home or as hobbyists or as hands-on learning at educational institutions. Many libraries are like my hometown, little town, Nebraska, town 2,000 residents. I walked into the library back in March, and they have 2 3D printers in there. And I go, wow, that's pretty cool. And the library's attached, the community library is also the school library attached to the high school, and also the middle school and junior high. And so, but with all the activity that we witnessed over the years, we've really only scratched the surface in 30 plus years. And what I mean by that is, if you consider the $12.8 trillion global economy. And so what percentage does additive manufacturing represent of that almost $13 trillion? It's not 1%, it's only 0.1%.
Yeah.
Which is $12.8 billion based on our research for Wohlers report 2021. Someday, I believe it's going to exceed 5%. 5% would be approaching 2/3 of a trillion dollars. And I think it's going to easily, I often would get a show of hands. How many people think it's going to, hit 5%, 10%? I mean, 10% would be over 1.2, almost $1.3 trillion. And people still have their hands up when I get up to 25, 50%. And no one really knows. I certainly don't. But we do know that it's going to become very, very big. And it's going to represent so much more than it does today. How do we get there? We're going to have to drive down costs and really speed the machines and increase the adoption for series production. The money, I mean, it's critically important to put these machines to work for product development and for validation of new designs, for rigorous prototyping, very important. But that's not where the money is. The money is in manufacturing. And so as companies adopt these machines for actual series production, that's where this will become much, much bigger in the future.
Yeah, that's something to look forward to. There is a lot happening, and there's a lot that happened, but wow, there's so much more that can happen with the growth of it and the possibilities going into the future. It is exciting, like you said, not a dull moment. And we're coming up on a big show coming up, but that'll be a fun time there and a fun time seeing you there. But it's been great having you here today. And is there anything else that you'd like to add to this conversation while we have you here?
For the young people and really people of any age, learn about this. Google 3D printing and additive manufacturing and click images at the top of your browser and take a look at what's being done. It's just, the ability to consolidate many parts, sometimes 25, even 500 parts into one digitally and then print that. I mean, it has an enormous impact on a company's bottom line in terms of, think about if it were 100 parts and you consolidate into one, you would need at least minimum 100 different manufacturing operations to manufacture each of those 100 parts. Then you have inventory, assembly, you have, in some cases, certification paperwork. The maintenance can be higher because you're now dealing with all these parts and assemblies and joining technologies and fasteners and so it really does. I mean, that alone can really drive a decision toward, hey, let's take a serious look at this. So if you haven't had a look at it, it's not too late. If you've been around for a while, if you're young and you want to work in a very exciting field, take a look at 3D printing because it's a great place to be.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Terry. That's a great way of closing this off. I really appreciate you being here today, and I thank you for being a positive leader and an SME additive manufacturing influencer.
Well, thank you, Adam, very much.